So I have this little MDF signage that I picked up at the Dollar Tree, and I removed this little burlap sign that it had because I'm going to be giving it a little TLC. So for starters, I'm going to be taking this little paint marker and I'm going to try to fill in the grooves so that it could look more like wood. And then I'm going to be combining both this Behr paint together with this acrylic to try to achieve a different shade that I want. So I poured out some of that white paint here in this little palette, and now I'm just going to mix the colors together. Next, I'm going to go ahead and shade in those grooves, as I mentioned, with this permanent jot marker. And the purpose of doing this is to give it that separation so that when I go over it with the paint, it looks like, separate pieces of wood combined together. So here's what it looks like now that those grooves have been filled in. And I suppose I could have painted on the back side, but then it wouldn't have had that separation. And that was the purpose of me filling in those grooves so that I can have that shiplappy look. So now I'm going to go ahead and add some of this acrylic paint to that white paint. And I'm going to do so by adding a drop at a time and then mixing and blending it off camera until I achieve the color that I want. So I kind of took my inspiration from that exposed piece of MDF on this signage, and I kind of wanted to go off that color shade, and I think I kind of achieved it. So now we're going to be going over it with that shade that we created, and we're going to treat each section individually, and it doesn't matter if we get some of the color in between the grooves because once it's dry, we're going to be remedying that as well. So here's a sneak peek at what it should look like once it's all filled in and dried. And so now what I want to do is I want to go over it with some of this white paint, and I'm going to be giving it sort of a dry brush look. And so I'm just going to be dipping the tip of the brush in and taking most of the paint back off, even if it means me dabbing it on a paper towel as you see me doing here, because I just want to go over it gently with some of that white paint to give it sort of a weathered look, which is what I'm going for here. So here's what you should be left with once it's all dry, and I'm happy with the turnout. So now what's next to do is that I picked up some of these craft wood letters from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to pick out some letters that spell out Be Mine, and I'm going to give them a coat of some of this black acrylic paint, and then we're going to adhere them to the board. So now it's just a matter of embellishing the signage. And so I'm going to be starting by gluing back that burlap sign that I took off. And these are those letters that I painted with the acrylic paint. And I'm just going to be playing around with them until I'm happy with the placement. And then I'm going to grab my trusty old glue gun and adhere them to the board. So after playing around with the placement of the letters, I decided I wanted to give it that high-low effect. And so, having one letter higher and the other one lower than the other. So I'm going to be gluing this letter E down to the top of that burlap sign, and that's going to be my guide and starting point. And I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing with the letter Y. So this is what we have so far, and now I think I want to add a bow to it. So I have some of these ribbons that I picked up at the Dollar Tree. I have some of this chevron wired ribbon, also some of this lacy ribbon, and I also have some of this brown burlap non-wired ribbon. And I think I want to layer all three. So what I'm showing you here is that it's not that easy to manipulate these three ribbons together, especially when they're not attached. So I'm trying my best to sort of kind of form two bunny ears, if you will, and trying to fuss with the ribbon as you see me doing here to keep them together. And so the idea is that I'm just going to try to cinch these ribbons together here in the center as you see me doing with my two thumbs, and then I'm going to take a piece of this jute twine that I cut, and I'm just going to tie it in the center. So now that we have our jute tied up in the back, we're just going to snip off the excess piece of jute rope, and then we're going to grab an excess piece of that chevron ribbon, and I folded it down here, and I'm just going to be attaching it to my ribbon to cover up the jute and to make it look like that knot in the middle. And so this is what that bow should look like once you add that fabric on to create that knot look in the middle. And so now I'm just going to be adding a generous amount of glue to the back of that same knot that I created. And I'm just going to adhere it to the board and hold it in place for a couple of seconds. And so this is what it should be looking like so far. So now what I'm going to be doing here is recreating another little hanger. And so what I did was I doubled up a piece of this jute twine. I just took it and measured it out and doubled it up. And so I'm just going to be attaching it the same way the one that was on it was. And I'm just going to loop it through and then tie a knot around the back. So here's a final presentation of the finished look. I tacked it to the wall temporarily until I decide where I'm going to be styling it with the rest of my Valentine's decor. And you don't always have to only hang these from the wall. You can also set them out on an easel. You can lean them up against a bookshelf. The opportunities are limitless, and the beauty about these DIYs is that they're handcrafted by you. So I hope you guys enjoy. So what I have here is the inside of a deconstructed Dollar Tree door hanger that had seen better days. And this is the wire form shape that was inside. And then I have a pack of these beaded necklaces that you can get in the party section at Dollar Tree. And all I did was take one and open it from the connecting point that you can wear around your neck. And I'm just going to be taking it and attaching it to this inside wire. It's kind of like a wreath form, if you will. So it'll be kind of like making a wreath, and I'm going to be wrapping it around. So basically, as I said before, it's kind of like putting together a mini wreath. And so what I'm doing is I'm wrapping the beads around, and every couple of wraps, I'm adding a little bit of glue just so that I don't overdo it with the excess amount of glue, plus to avoid burning the crap out of my fingers. So I'm just going to be adding glue every few wraps or so. Like once I wrap it 3 or 4 times, then I add a little bit of glue, and then I wrap it 3 or 4 times and add a little bit more glue, and so on and so forth. And I'm going to continue this method until I run out of the beads, and then I'll reattach another one if need be and continue on until I get to my starting point. So I decided to take it a step further by embellishing my little mini wreath with some of this 9 feet gingham ribbon that I purchased at the Dollar Tree. And all I did was wrap it around the little mini wreath accordingly, just as I did with the beads, only not gluing it down and tying it off in a bow at the end. And I think it came out stinking adorable. This is something you can add to a tiered tray or set it on a bookcase. The opportunities are limitless. And as they say, one woman's trash is another woman's treasure, and I am so glad I did not toss this. So for this last really simple and easy Valentine's DIY, I have this little mercury bottle that we all hauled several months back with this nifty little pop off top, and I just think it's so cute. And then I have this little handmade card from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to be removing some of the embellishments. I also may or may not be using these bottle lights. And I have a piece of this gingham ribbon left over from my last project. I also have some of these foam mounting tape squares that I'm going to be using, and a pair of scissors. So let's start putting everything together. So I'm going to start off by removing some of these embellishments off of my handmade card. And it's pretty simple to come off because all they did was stuck it with some of the same mounting tape that I have. And I'm going to be using the same stuff in this DIY. So it comes off pretty simply as you see here. And I'm just showing you that it was stuck on with that tape. And it also has a smaller embellishment on the top, and it's also just put on with a little piece of that mounting tape. So I'm going to take it off and put it to the side because I'm definitely going to be reusing that. I'm also definitely probably going to be using that little bow because it's cute. And then I'm showing you that that little label there is a slight bit off as far as, you know, the size. So we're probably going to be having to do some trimming. So I went ahead and trimmed my label out of the card, and I'm showing you here that it just barely made it. All I had to do was trim off that little bottom squiggly piece, and I'm so glad I didn't have to ruin the Be My Valentine. So now it fits perfectly. So all I'm going to be doing now is adding some of that same foam mounting tape, and I'm just going to stick a few squares onto the backing of this card the same way that it was attached onto the handmade card, and we're going to adhere it to the bottle. So I don't know if it's showing off on camera that good, but I just basically stuck 3 pieces of that foam mounting tape onto the back of the card. And now I'm just peeling off that last protective layer so that I could adhere it to our little mercury bottle. And that's it. Voila. Now we have a little love potion bottle. So now I'm just gonna further embellish it by attaching that little card that it came with that just says drink me, and I'm just going to stick it right on the corner there with the same mounting tape. And now it's just a matter of deciding how I want to put the bow, or if I want to use that gingham bow as well. And I'm just going to play around with it. Okay, so because I didn't want to waste anything, I decided to add the little bow right in the center of the gingham ribbon, and I doubled it up because I didn't want to waste it, and I think it looks adorable. So I decided against using the bottle light simply because A, I wouldn't have been able to dress the top up with this ribbon the way I did, and B, because of the mercury, you really weren't going to see the lights too well through the bottle anyways. So I kind of like this version of it better, and so this is how I decided that I'm going to keep it. So I'm loving the fact that because I decided to use that same gingham ribbon on both the core pieces, that now they cohesively tie into one another and can be displayed either together as a set or separately. However you choose to style them is totally up to you. I hope you enjoyed this mini video tutorial, and I hope I inspired you in some way, shape, or form to get creative this Valentine's Day. If you enjoy these kind of videos, please do not hesitate to give this video a thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribed, I would love to have you join the family. Oh, and you might want to go ahead and smash that notification bell so that YouTube will be sure to notify you each time I upload. Bye now. I'll talk to you soon.